Hi everyone, Hayatunde here. Today we are going to cover a really simple but incredibly powerful tool in Excel, pivot tables. Now I know some of you might think this is too basic, especially if you've seen other tutorials on complex Excel techniques, Power BI and Power Pivot, but trust me, pivot tables are the foundation of so much more. If you've ever struggled with organizing data, answering questions like which product sold the most, or who's our top customer, or even summarizing data quickly without formulas, this is the tutorial for you. And the best part, pivot tables are all about simplicity. Just drag and drop and you'll get instant insights. To follow along, I've included a sample workbook that you can download from the description below. In this workbook, we have a data set containing sales information for an electronic sales. Each row captures order ID, customer name, product sold, that is laptop, tabs, etc., order date, quantity sold, and revenue generated. Using this data, we will answer questions like how much revenue did we earn from each product, how many orders were placed each month, which product contributed the most to our total revenue, and which customer generated the highest revenue. This data set is already clean and well structured, so we are ready to dive into creating pivot table. But if your data is not already clean, maybe it requires renaming the headers or removing blanks, you would have to do that before diving into creating pivot tables. So let's go ahead and start building pivot tables to analyze this data. To create your first pivot table, click anywhere inside the data set. This tells Excel what data you want to analyze. Then go to the Insert tab on the ribbon and select Pivot Table. In the dialog box that appears, choose to have the pivot table placed in a new worksheet and click OK. A new sheet will open with an empty pivot table placeholder and a pivot table fields pane on the right. So let's start by answering this question. How much revenue did we earn from each product? In the pivot table fields pane, locate product sold and drag it to the rows area. This creates a list of all the unique products in the data set. And why rows? Because we want to break down revenue by product. Next, find revenue generated and drag it to the values area. By default, Excel will sum up all the revenue for each product. If it shows count instead of sum, don't worry, just right-click on any value, select Summarize Values By, and choose Sum. To make the numbers easier to read, right-click on any value, select Number Format, and choose Currency with 0 decimal places. Now you can see the total revenue for each product listed in a neat table. Let's calculate how many orders were placed each month. Drag order dates to the rows area. Excel automatically groups the dates by month, then have order ID dragged to the values area. Excel will count the number of orders placed each month. We went with count because we want to know how many orders, not their total value. And you can have the column header renamed to order count by double-clicking the header and typing the new name. Now you can see the number of orders placed in each month. To find out which customer generated the highest revenue, drag customer name to the rows area. This lists all the customers in the data set. Then drag revenue generated to the values area. Excel will sum up the revenue for each customer. We can have the sum of revenue sorted in descending order to see the top performing customers. To do this, right-click on any value in the column, go to Sort, and select largest to smallest. Scenario 2. Analyze product trends over time. To evaluate how product sales change over time, drag order dates to the columns area, drag product sold to the rows area, and drag revenue generated to the values area. This shows how much revenue each product generated each month. To make this data easier to interpret, consider adding a chart. So select the pivot table, go to the Insert tab, and choose the line chart. And this is what we have. Now moving on to the third scenario, Compare product performance by quantity sold. To compare products based on the number of units sold, drag product sold to the rows area. Then drag quantity sold to the values area. Excel will sum up the quantity sold for each product. And again, to make your pivot table insights more intuitive, let's add a bar chart. Select the pivot table, go to the Insert tab, and choose a bar chart. And you can have the bar chart customized by selecting a style or color. You can also give the chart a title, Revenue by Product. And if you want to have the data analyzed for specific customers or products, here is how. Drag customer name or product sold to the filters area and use the drop down above the pivot table to filter the data. For instance, you might want to see revenues only for laptops. So if you select that and click OK, you would have the chart amended to show you the revenue only for laptops. And to wrap up, you might want to add new sales data to the table. To make sure your pivot table is also updated to reflect the new data added, you would have to have the pivot table updated by clicking anywhere in the pivot table, going to the pivot table Analyze tab, and click the refresh button. This ensures your pivot table reflects the latest data without requiring you to rebuild it. And that's it for today. And that's it. With just a few clicks, we've transformed raw sales data into actionable insights using pivot tables. Whether you're tracking revenue, monitoring sales or trends, or identifying top customers, pivot tables make it quick and easy. If you enjoyed this tutorial, don't forget to like, subscribe, and download the practice file to try it out yourself. See you in the next video.